Hey there, it's Guy Maddin. I'm working on my project Seances, and you're watching a Canadian Film Review.
So tell us a little bit about what Seances is.
Um, Seances is a multi-platform movie project um, where, geez, you think, no wonder I've had trouble raising money. I don't even know how to describe my own project. I guess I'll start with what it'll end up being in my heart of hearts at the end. It's going to be a film project meant for the internet. It'll be something, here's something maybe intriguing. I'm sorry, I'm tired. I just dragged my rear end from the set today, and I'm so brain scrambled. Anyway, anyone on the internet will visiting my website, the Seances website, which will be hosted by the National Film Board, will be able to hold their own seances with lost film. That's one way of putting what I'm hoping to do. What I am doing, and I'm doing it in public, starting with 18 shooting days at the Centre Pompidou in Paris last year, and 13 days at the Phi Center, or the Centre Phi, here in Montreal this summer, and 25 days in New York next year. I'm going to be shooting in public these spaces, one movie per day. And each movie's about 10 or 15 minutes long when it's finally edited. And each one of them is based on a film that's been lost for a long time. About 80% of all silent films made in Hollywood are lost probably forever. In other countries, the ratio is far higher from the silent era. And there are a lot of talking pictures that are lost, including, sadly, a lot of films that were destroyed when the Khmer Rouge were in power in Cambodia in the 70s. Not only were the films destroyed, but the filmmakers were often murdered as well. There's so many different countries, cultures, creeds, colors that lost films came from, where they once existed. Sorry, I'm tangling myself up. But anyway, I've sort of accidentally come to know a lot about lost films, and my feelings about them have sort of caught up with the way I feel about time and my place on the earth and the way I relate to people and things like that, and just the sense of things slipping away and how precious things can seem and just how exquisite and wonderful things are, but how sad they can be as well. All that stuff seems to find its own echo in lost films for me. Just the way we all find ourselves at one time or another in film. When we're watching them, I know, well, your audience would agree. It's interesting. So I thought, you know, when I first heard of a lost film, I was in my 20s. I think I was maybe a big fan of Alfred Hitchcock. Maybe his lost film, The Mountain Eagle, is the first one I heard of. I wanted to watch every Alfred Hitchcock movie, and I knew I couldn't when I found out that one of them was lost. And I guess there's still dim hope that it'll be found someday, but it's not likely. And so when I became a filmmaker, I glibly thought to myself that the only way I'd ever be able to see any of these films is if I made them myself. What clinched it for me was when I went to Paris for the first time and just looked up some movie listings and noticed that the movie times were listed next to the word seances, because in France, movie times are seances. They're seatings. The word seance means a seating. And in North America, a seance means a paranormal seating in the dark. But in France, it just means a seating in the dark to watch a movie. And I started to think about how the two things are similar, seances and in the North American paranormal sense, and just movies. In both cases, people go hoping to believe, hoping to be enchanted by what they're going to see. They know at some level it's fake, but they really want to believe it. And they're counting on the medium or the director to enchant them for the duration. And when the lights go on, if they were enchanted, they're happy. And if they weren't, they'll complain about the medium being crummy or the director being crummy. And in both cases, the medium and the director is a charlatan. a fraud. Even the greatest documentary filmmakers are frauds. So I thought I would hold these public seances and invite the spirits of lost films, because I do think of them as spirits. I think of these things as sad souls wandering the landscape of film history, unable to project themselves for the audience that might enjoy them. And every day then in public, I collect my actors. Luckily, I've been attracting some nice stars in Paris, some Paris-based movie stars, and here in Montreal, I've tapped into the Quebec star system. I gather some stars around the table, and I invite a sad, lost movie spirit to possess my guests and compel them to act out its long-forgotten plot lines. And then I spend the day as a spirit photographer, just capturing what these actors gropingly act out. It's really interesting because actors are so easily tipped into trances, and I like to do it in public so that people can sort of just see how films are made, to get right up close. Here in Montreal, the audience is within a couple feet of shots being done, and there was a lot of fake snow blowing around today. I just stepped out of the shower. Potato flakes is what we used. I had a bunch of mashed potatoes sort of concretizing on my skin because we were shooting in a really sweaty room. And whenever one of these snowfalls came down, everyone is turned into something almost edible and nauseatingly almost edible. And then sort of encrusted like sort of walking shepherd's pies or something of almost edible film crew members. But the audience, the public, the Montrealers that came out to check us out also got the shepherd's pie treatment. It was great.
This is a really cool concept to me. Like, it's going to be interactive, but you're also going to make it theatrical as well. Is that right?
Yeah, actually, I always wanted to, but what clinched it is that to qualify for telefilm money and Manitoba Film and Music, no, Manitoba Film and Music was fine, but telefilm money, and to qualify for certain funds, we had to be considered feature film length, and the organizations have been really flexible in my case, because this is an internet project in which lost short films are being made and then recombined in an infinite number of permutations online, and it's not really a feature film by the bureaucratic to the letter sense of it, but they're sort of flexible enough, I think, because everyone wants to get involved in new media somehow and isn't quite sure how to make art on the internet. And I think I fluked on some way of legitimately putting film into an kind of interactive platform on the internet and making it art. So there will be, at certain film festivals, I will hold seances in public, but where people, I guess, pay, TIFF or someplace, if I'm lucky, to watch me conjure up a combination of lost films that sort of makes sense. And we'll make a feature film length night worth of entertainment out of it. And I like the idea because having all these live elements in the work I've done the last few projects, my Winnipeg, I narrated it live. Brand Upon the Brain, I had live music, live sound effects, live singer, live narrator, etc. It really made me feel more like a showman than just a filmmaker, and I like being both. And so this enables me to be a little bit mischievous and be a charlatan and be an entertainer and still try to be an artist as well.
Because it seems to me like you're combining film and theater and online. It's like you're merging them all together.
Yeah, I know. I thought that would,
good intention?
I thought that would make it a lot easier to fund, but it's actually made it harder. Because everyone's kind of, I think, scared to interpret it in the most generous way possible. and because they have people to answer to. And it's not only that; it's a museum installation as well, because we shoot it in museums. And so I sort of wanted to. I thought this. I guess the genesis of the project has some practical considerations, because at one point I thought I'm not going to be allowed to make these stupid independent movies forever, probably. Maybe I should have some sort of gallery presence. And it's a very cynical attitude to take, and I wasn't quite sure what to do in an art gallery world. But I knew I wanted to. This was maybe back in maybe 6 or 7 years ago, just before the Depression of 2008. I had some gallery curator friends and some artist friends, and we started working together on collage parties. And I thought maybe I could at least sell some collages or sell some short films that were personalized for people, the way Robert Wilson does or something. But I just thought I might actually be able to make some money someday in the gallery world. And no sooner did I launch myself into a project like this and the collage parties I threw, then the Depression hit, and I think the market in the gallery and museum world took an 80% hit or something like that. So it was with my typical entrepreneurial flair that I entered into a instantly croaked market. But I never think of money anyway. I'm enjoying it in this world, and some of the short films I've made for installations, because I started making some lost films to inaugurate the opening of the Bell Lightbox back in 2010. I've been lucky. Some of them have played at the Sao Paulo Biennale and some other really cool places. And so I did my resume up recently because I was applying for a job, and I actually have a bunch of installation credits already on my CV. I feel good about it because I'm so new to that world. I'm only now beginning to feel like I'm no longer new to the film world, and now I feel really new to the museum world. It feels good, and the interactive website world is especially new to me. I feel good being a real pioneer rather than the faux pioneer I've been for so long.
Well, I think it's all pioneering at this point with interactive and online, and how to connect with audiences in kind of a more direct way. I think this is all, and I think the NFB is really forefronting that. So I'm kind of excited to see you working with the NFB, in something that isn't strictly, well, it is film, but it's also an extension of film as well.
Yeah, they're really exciting what they're doing now. It's funny, as a kid, I always made fun of the NFB. They're always good for a laugh. But I started rewatching some of their older films when I was researching My Winnipeg, my documentary on my hometown, and I realized how good some of those NFB films were, and I realized how cool the whole organization is now, because they aren't sure what they're doing, who is on the internet, but they're throwing a lot of really smart people at it, and all their energy, and they have a great attitude, and I love the people I work with there.
So this is going to be silent movies. So it's not going to be a French language film, or
It's funny. I've decided that the spirit world versions of these things are allowed to talk, so they are bilingual. They're French and English, and there's some other. They might be very, very polylingual by the time I'm done. The films originate from many countries, but I'm allowing for some drunken spirits to confuse each other in the afterlife, and the films are allowed to speak in sort of whatever language they want. They're also gender blind and color blind and all sorts of things. So sometimes a leading man will be played by a woman, vice versa. The races of the actors in the original movies are usually ignored, jumbled, switched around. Sometimes even the relationships, husbands and wives become brothers and sisters, things like that. So they don't sound like reliable adaptations, but if you've ever watched movie melodramas with a lot of seances in them, things are often confused. The golden age of spiritism was in the 1920s, when a lot of grieving parents were dying to make contact with their dead soldier sons. And the cliche trajectory of these experiences always had them getting a dead neighbor instead, and maybe Napoleon or something, and then I don't know, a dead aunt, and then finally like a really crummy facsimile of their son, just enough to fool someone who really needed to believe, and maybe really anger someone who didn't, and or even insult. So I'm trying to approach these things in that spirit. They're films with wonderful origins, really mysterious and mischievous ideologies, and it's a chance for us to acknowledge them, do our own thing with them, completely ignore contemporary rote ideology, and just try to see how sensitive the afterlife is. There's a lot of confused souls in there, and I think it's really elucidating to see these attitudes brought back from the distant past. I know I know what some of you are thinking. You're thinking I'm going to march out some Nazi propaganda film or something that was once great and is now lost or something. But no, it's a really interesting opportunity to learn history through art again, and to learn about human nature through art. That's all I'll say about it. You'll have to wait and see if I have any taste or intelligence on this.
I mean, this project is really interesting in the way that it is theatrical as well as cinematic, and how are the actors responding to that, and how are you know, because when you act for a film, you kind of need to know where the lighting is, where the camera is. Theatrically, you need to know where your audience is. So how are they responding, and how are you as a filmmaker responding to telling something theatrical in a film format?
Well, all I know is the actors, and I don't know why, but they're just diving in. I don't know why they trust me. There's no reason to, but I'm not trying to trick them or anything. But everyone is, it's these professional actors just, I guess they decide I'm either going to do it or I'm not. And if I'm going to do it, I'm going to give myself over. So today I had Roy Dupuis, one of the biggest stars in Quebec. He's fantastic. He's really good. And he was just acting in this movie, this lost film called The Red Wolves. He's just playing not a lumberjack, but a sapling jack. And he didn't even really ask what a sapling jack was. It's I guess, a lumberjack that takes young trees. I don't know, but I'm not sure. I don't know. But he didn't ask. He just dived in, you know, and we made this sapling jack melodrama from the 20s, from somewhere, Germany. The film is so lost, no one even knows what country it was from.
How did you find out about these films, these lost films? Just references?
Well, some of it started out from a very dilettante research, just hearing of things. You know, every now and then you hear that Todd Browning's London After Midnight is, you know, the most sought-after lost film. Other people say Hitchcock's The Mountain Eagle. F.W. Murnau has 10 lost films or so, maybe 8. I can't remember. A couple have been found in recent years. Oscar Michaud, one of the early African-American film pioneers, has so many, it's heartbreaking, that are lost. I don't know, you just find out about them anecdotally, and then a little bit of research reveals some stuff, and then as the research takes you deeper and deeper, you just find out more and more intriguing stuff. And it was really fun making up our list of our, you know, maybe top 100 films to connect with and channel and capture with by camera.
Cool. So this will be coming out, you're thinking probably 2014, is that right?
Yeah, late in 2014 or so. Stuff will start appearing online, and then we'll just keep adding to it. The project's such that I can just keep adapting and adding a few more things. And when I get hit by a bus and go to that great lost film landscape in the sky, other people, if they want to, can keep adding to it. There's a lot of lost films, alas, thousands and thousands. So I hope the website's okay. There's absolutely no way to monetize anything on it, which thrills me. And no one will be charged anything. There's no room for commercials or anything. So I think it's just a matter of watching. And I hope it's just up to us to make the movies entertaining and intriguing and mysterious. So far, I've been lucky. The movies look really cool.
Cool. Cool. Well, I am looking forward to my seance of your seances
Thank
in late 2014.
Yeah, so long from now.
I know, but can you keep us posted? Because on the Canadian Film Review, we love to hear any kind of, we're hungry for information. So
Okay, well, I appreciate it. Thank you. I will, of course.
we would love that. Yeah, yeah. Well,
Right.
cool. Thank you. So this is your second day of shooting in Montreal, and
Yep.
you're tired, you're knackered, and you've been shepherd pied today. Got it.
Yes, the whole thing. I can barely walk. There's so much hardened mashed potatoes.
Well, then, on that note, I'm going to let you go. So
Oh, you're
thank
very
you.
sweet. Thank you.